If you want to hear the secrets behind the demon that possessed the Annabelle doll, then stick around to the end of this video. I don't know why I'm doing this. I hope you weren't tired of possessed doll movies after all those Child's Play episodes I just released, because playtime is not over quite yet. Today on Things You Missed, I'll be covering Annabelle. Annabelle is a series spun off from James Wan's The Conjuring, and this story contains plenty of covert references, Easter eggs, and links to real-world mythology. We'll start at the chronological beginning, where the opening title is displayed over this demonic-looking statue. This guy looks exactly like Malthus, the actual demon that Mia first discovers in the storage area. So I think that this guy, like his counterpart Valak from The Nun, has been around for a long time, and someone many years ago encountered this demon and made the statue to depict him. The father gives his sermon, where he tells of the commandment,
that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends.
This is a foreshadowing of the end of the movie, where Evelyn does just that, gives up her life to try to save John and Mia's baby. After the church service, Mia goes to find her neighbor, Sharon Higgins. Roll it.
Pete send you after me? I swear one day he thinks I'll just run off too.
Although we don't know it yet, she's talking about their daughter, Annabelle Higgins, who ran away as a teenager.
A man and his wife were brutally stabbed to death by their estranged daughter, Annabelle Higgins, and her unidentified boyfriend.
John later mentions that she had run off to join up with the hippies, but she's actually left to join up with a cult known as the Disciples of Ram. If you listen to the TV playing in the background at the house, it reveals more information about this cult. They call themselves the Family, but police officials have labeled them as a dangerous cult. Residing on the grounds of Spawn Ranch, the family is estimated to have close to 30 members who are responsible for the Tate and LaBianca murders. Their leader is Charles Manson, and they're involved in satanic activities. There are a couple of instances in Annabelle where the TV predicts what's going to happen next, and this is one of them. The runaway Annabelle Higgins brings another cult member along as they kill her parents, then go next door to attack the pregnant Mia. One more important detail: Annabelle dies with the doll in her arms, giving off the illusion that she transferred the demon into Annabelle. In the prequel, Annabelle Creation, we find out about how Annabelle Higgins was possessed by the demon, but that doesn't explain how John ended up with the doll. He gives it to his wife as a gift, but doesn't really explain where he found it.
Where did you find her? I mean, do you know how long I've been looking?
I know.
I'd completely lost hope.
Well, I have my ways.
I don't think this is a coincidence. We also don't find out how the doll ended up going from Evelyn's dying arms to this collector's shop at the end of the movie, or how it got from the trash can to John's new apartment. So my theory is that the demon is looking for families that he thinks are vulnerable. Mia and John were good candidates because she was already a doll collector, and they live next door to the Higginses, so they could see the murders take place and thus be more likely to believe that something had possessed the doll. Because remember, it's explained at the beginning of The Conjuring that the demon doesn't really possess the doll, but it just moves it around to try to trick people into offering up their souls. Annabelle is found dead, holding the doll in the nursery with this symbol on the wall. If you rotate it, it looks like the letter A. The symbol reappears throughout the movie, like the scar on Mia's arm after being attacked by Malthus, and one of the images in the book that Mia reads to investigate the occult and the Disciples of Ram. The letter A also appears near the end of the movie after the nursery has been attacked. There's a big A block that has never been there before, and the baby's name starts with L, not A. One more note on the attack. The cult member accompanying Annabelle has a ram belt buckle, an early clue that the cult is, in fact, performing some kind of ritual involving Malthus. And as the detective puts it later on,
their act wasn't devotional, that they were actually trying to conjure something up.
Like what?
The devil, demons, the Tooth Fairy, I don't know specifically.
I can't wait for the Conjuring spin-off on the Tooth Fairy. I'm turning up on day one for that one. Let's look at some of the repeated symbols throughout the house. We see this a lot in the movies that we cover here on Things You Missed, but there are tons of flower images decorating the house. We keep seeing them over and over and over again. There are also a lot of butterfly images, and when you put these two together, you have a pollination and fertility metaphor, which goes along with the newborn baby being the central focus of this film. The other symbol I saw a ton of in the house was owls. These are hidden everywhere. They show up so much that I have no doubt that they're meant to be noticed, but how you interpret them may vary. I see them as mysterious nocturnal creatures, much like the demons of the Conjuring universe. Owls are often seen as symbols of wisdom, and Father Perez later tells them the more they know about their enemies, the less they will fear them.
Isn't it true that the more we know about something, the less fear we have from it? We need to face our fears to better understand them.
The great thing about the father is that he always talks like that, like even in regular conversation. Imagine if I did that in my videos. Here lies the things you missed that have been bestowed upon us by the director John Leonetti, who also made Mortal Kombat Annihilation. I'm done, I'm f***ing done. After the demon starts a fire that burns up the house, Mia has the baby, and they move into the Palmieri apartments. The name Palmieri refers to the cleric who carries a palm branch in religious ceremonies, another tie into the religious themes of the movie. The doll somehow follows them there, and as I mentioned earlier, some satanic symbols start to show up. I think these light ballasts resemble the number 6, and there seem to be 3 of them, 666. They also live on the 6th floor, and when Mia encounters Malthus downstairs, she gets into the elevator and mashes the 6 button 3 times. The scene also gives us our best look at Malthus. We usually only see him manipulating the Annabelle doll, and occasionally using the forms of Annabelle Higgins. As I did for Valak in my video on the nun, I'll bring up the lights so we can get a better look at the true form. This demon seems to have claw-like hands and the ability to climb on walls or ceilings. You may have also missed the demon hiding behind the curtain when Mia turns off the record player. If you pause when Mia's flipping through The Devil's Welcome, the book which is basically the movie equivalent of The Lesser Key of Solomon, you can find more information about Malthus and the Disciples of Ram. To put it into easy to understand terms, it basically says that there are rules, and you have to agree to give up your soul to this demon before he can possess you. If you do, it's everlasting, so there's no going back on it. No crossed fingers, claws, nothing to get you out of this deal. The making of this deal is something that the church fears. The disciples can summon the demon by shedding one's blood, which is what we saw at the beginning of the movie. But this is only to be done as a sacrifice to Malthus, not for food, unless this is meat given to them by the demon specifically for food. And he basically wants to take over every living creature on Earth eventually. The picture depicts the detail that we eventually learned from Father Perez, that a baby doesn't really know how to agree to give up its soul, so it could potentially be an easier target, though that doesn't seem to be the case for Leah. Flipping through some of the other pages to The Devil's Welcome, we can see other connections and other demons. The image of the snake eating its tail is something that's seen many times in connection with Valak, the Marquis of Snakes, who appears in The Conjuring 2 and The Nun, alongside the same image of the snake. There's also an illustration of Belith, the mighty king of hell, and mention of Belial, a demon without a master. On the next page, there's Abaddon, the angel of the abyss. Unfortunately, the page in the Tooth Fairy is missing, but I do think all of these demons that it does show are all good candidates to be the antagonist of future Conjuring universe movies. One of the other books on the shelf in Evelyn's store is called Ghosts, Spirits, and Apparitions by Anthony Estrino. Anthony Estrino is the name of a writer for a series called The Mentalist, which is about a famous psychic, much like Lorraine Warren is in this universe. This isn't a real book, by the way, they just borrowed his name for it. The name of Father Perez's apartment complex is The Barclay, a reference to Andy Barclay, the main character of the Child's Play franchise, which is the other major killer doll movie series that exists, so nice to see them pay a little homage. When they tell the father of the occurrences that have been going on, he says he doesn't know how to stop the demon, but someone at the church might. Roll it.
At the very least, I've heard of a married couple that the church has worked with in the past to deal with this type of thing. They're back east, but a call can always be placed.
He's referencing the Warrens, the main characters of the mainline Conjuring films who live in Connecticut. Now, remember how I said that the TV can be a sign of things to come? The General Hospital clip that plays while Mia's asleep on the couch leads up to the sequence where Father Perez tries taking the doll to the church with the belief that he can weaken it that way, and then gets air yeeted straight into the hospital where John is working. So that leaves Mia and Evelyn to fight off the demon on her own. Mia's about to give the demon her soul in exchange for her baby, but Evelyn sacrifices herself instead, that he lay down his life for his friends, or in this case, her friends. However, as we know, all this does is transfers the demon to someone else. Also, do they not get blamed for killing Evelyn? I mean, maybe they should have thought that one through a little bit more. We don't see the scene where I'm assuming Mia and John are taken away in handcuffs. Instead, we skip forward a little under a year to this woman entering a collector's shop. In the background, you can spot the actual Raggedy Ann doll. This is the supposedly haunted doll in real life that the movie is based on, but because of licensing issues and in order to make it look more creepy, they made Annabelle a porcelain doll for the movies. This woman buys the doll for her daughter, who is a nurse.
I'm just trying to find something for my daughter. Thanks. She's a nurse, always helping people.
The women who explain their paranormal experiences with Annabelle in the opening scene of both this movie and The Conjuring are nurses.
I mean, we're nurses, we help people.
So one of them must be this woman's daughter. I also find it interesting that we never see the cashier who sells Annabelle to the old woman on screen. Maybe the demon took over this cashier in order to pass on Annabelle to a new family, just as John mysteriously found the doll that his wife was looking for. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week, because next week I'll be covering the prequel Annabelle creation. Remember to ring that death bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Assuming we both survive.